Hi, I'm Matt. I do the support here at Pimoroni, and I get the joy of unboxing and building for tutorial purposes this wonderful piece of kit that is the new, improved, and all-round sexier Picade. We'll start with this, and when we've finished, if I can do this without destroying anything, you should have something that looks very much like this. So if that doesn't get you excited, you're probably watching the wrong video. Right, let's have a look inside. Start with the instructions, which are not small. Let's have a go. Right, from the instructions and important information, it will take 2 or 3 hours to build your Picade. Hopefully this video will not be that long. A large space, like a table or a floor with a soft covering, is an ideal build space. Some parts are fiddly, so it does help to have an extra friendly pair of hands standing by, which I may do. Magic hands. Ah! Marvellous. Thank you. You will also need a Phillips screwdriver. In the box, you will find an envelope. Yours may not be in an envelope, in which case apologies, but I promise you the contents of the envelope will be in there. An exciting sticker selection with which to decorate your Picade or the lid of your laptop or your bedroom door, whatever you choose. Put those to one side. We have, where we are, 4 smaller boxes that contain the screen, the fixings, nuts, bolts, what have you, accessories. Ooh. Marvellous. And this is a heavier one, the Picade cabinet. So we should move the box out of the way. If that ends up on the floor, it may do. Okay, we've got our 4 boxes, we've got our Phillips screwdriver, we've got our helping hands. Let's begin to build the cabinet. Take the cabinet and fixings boxes and remove the nuts, bolts and plastic corner brackets from the fixings box and the MDF box from the cabinet box. So, let's move those out of the way for the moment. Fixings. Exciting boxes. Ooh, I think there might be a pin badge in there. Right, and the cabinet pieces. Try not to destroy the box as we open this. All very well packed, as I'm sure you can appreciate. The cabinet pieces, that looks like the screen pieces. So we'll leave those for the moment. Where are we at? Right. You'll always be attaching the plastic brackets to the sides of the panels with the markings and text on. Those are going to go inside the Picade, so you won't be able to see them when it's finished. So, let's get the base panel A, as that's the first one that's mentioned, which is going to be in this pack somewhere. You can use your Phillips screwdriver to rip holes in the shrink wrap. Don't even need a knife, it's like magic. Let's see if we can find panel A. So we've got the 2 sides, which are B and D. We've got the top piece with the handle, which is C. We've got the front piece, which is E. The back door, which is F. So, panel A, the Picade base. Remember, brackets to the side with the markings, letters on, it's going inside. Believe me, there's a bin down here. It's not really. Right, plastic brackets, which are probably not in there. I bet that's the Picade board itself, thinking about it. Try not to have all these fall down the gaps of the table. Whee! Plastic brackets, bolts, and plastic brackets. We'll put the wiring to one side as we won't need those till later. Some feet. More wires, more brackets, sexy Picade pin badge. I hope to see a lot of these around. More fixings, right. In the bin. Okay. So from looking at the picture on here, it's this side of the bracket that wants to go down onto so 5. So they're going on the 5 marked spaces. If I were better prepared, I would have a small dish to put these in. I recommend you also have a small dish on hand. I'm just going to risk the table. It's a fairly tight fit into the bracket, so you'll probably need to screw it in. Not sure how much of this will be sped up. It's all good. Okay. I also fortunately have a small set of pliers which I will use to get these nice and tight. Lovely. Bracket 2. Could just try the humorous banter while I'm doing this, but frankly I think we'll be fast forwarding through this bit. See my hands at super speed. Straight. Right, excellent. Two. Three. Right, there we go. Now this might be interesting. Oh, we're all good. And those little tears are going to be covered by the bolt head, fortunately. Just to point out, we do sell both these screwdrivers and pliers on our web shop. You won't be disappointed. I work here, I bought them. Cool. 5 brackets on piece A. 5 3 bolts and nuts. Lovely. Next, take panel B and attach it to the 2 brackets on the side of panel A, closest to the speaker grill, using 2 more M3 nuts and bolts. So, panel B is going to go on this side, much like that. Already got the pre-drilled holes, so Can't fit these through. Right, those are on, the panel's in the right place. Let's tighten them. One. Two. Don't over tighten, you don't really want divots in your MDF. It is fairly soft stuff, it's hard enough. You'll damage the sexy powder coat if you tighten them too much. What's next? Take panel C, the top, and attach right angle plastic brackets to each side of it using 2M3 bolts and nuts on each side, which we don't unfortunately have a picture of. Right. But the only way that fits is if this side is the side that marries up to the side with writing on. Nearly missed that one. So you want it like that, with your side with the two slots in the centre hole, not up against the side of panel C. Not going to tighten this up too much so there's still some sideways movement available on the bracket so that it marries up correctly. Let's do the other side. Okay, then attach panel C to panel B using another M3 nut and bolt. The side of the bracket with the hole in the centre attaches to panel B. Oh, there we go, it even tells us. Read it through before you start, you know, like you would with a test or an exam, or like you were always told to but never did. There's reasons. Panel C attaches with the protruding part towards the back. So, how close did we get? Nowhere near. There we go. This is why the soft covering, because you're going to be sliding it around a bit and bending it around, and you don't want to scratch this sexy powder coat. Maybe you do, sadist. I don't. Right, that's on. I will now tighten these two as so. Okay. Section 2, building the screen. So we're going to need this bit, which has the screen acrylic in it, along with some other bits of acrylic. Those are bits of screen. That is a bit of screen. And then we've got these for the console. Put that on there because I'll need that pink box in a minute, and more bits of screen. We also have, if we manage not to kill it, a screen box. I'm going to keep this bit of bubble wrap on the table because working with screens you don't want it to get scratched. You may be doing better than me and have a towel or a sheet or something on your work surface. Brilliant. I'm going to use this bubble wrap because it's soft. Let's have a look in the screen box. Ooh. Screen driver board and screen. Okay. All the acrylic pieces loaded our white protective film. Don't forget to peel this off. You'll be annoyed if you can't see through it. I'm going to read through this quickly and make sure there's no gotchas. This is prep work in effect, people. Okay. I think we're good. So, don't bend this. You'll be sad. Take the screen acrylic, lay it down with the tabs on either side. We will also, at this point, I fooled you! No, I'm going to do it really. Lovely. The artwork now face down, so you have lovely Picade artwork, lovely fingerprints which you can wipe off, don't worry. It's also a handy bit of advice here, worth putting a couple of bolts through, just so you've got something to hold it all together as you go. If you've got any of these little bits of card still in there, get them out of the way or hide them amongst the bubbles in your bubble wrap, because if they fall in between the screen and the acrylic, you're always going to have a black blob there. It'll be annoying. With any luck, your bolts will sit there. Mine won't. We might just go with 3. Let's just go with 3. Okay. The stripes of the artwork should be at the bottom right when looking from the front. Now this is symmetrical, so we're going to know that this corner here is the bottom right. I'm actually going to mark that with a little BR. You might do the same, because that way you can tell when you're looking at the wrong side of it, which will save some hassle down the line. Okay. 2 narrow clear acrylic pieces marked top 1 and base 1 go at the top and base of the screen and hold it in place. Place them with the flat edges aligned flush with the top and base of the screen assembly and the cutouts towards the middle of the screen assembly. Okay. So we have top 2, top 1, base 1 and base 2. So plastic off. I have no thumbnails. One. Let's try and wrestle this in. Did you stay? You did. Good on you. Thank you. Right. Base 1. I have no pointer fingernails either. Okay, top 1 and base 1. Top and base, place with the cutouts. Peel the protective film off the screen. This is a last minute thing. Do this just before you place it down and try and make sure things are as dust free as possible, because again, if you end up with bits between your screen and your acrylic, they'll just annoy you every time you look at it. So you've got your little tab for the protective screen. You're waiting for it, aren't you? I'm not going to do it this time. Go. down nice and neat. Indeed, I have got that the wrong way round, which I just noticed totally from reading the instructions and not in any way because there's helpful hands gesturing at me from behind the camera. Ribbon cable towards the cutout. Everything's fine, lads. Everything's great. Okay. Driver board goes on this bit. Again, remove your plastic. I'm just laying it down, I'm not connecting it yet because the driver board does connect to this bit. You'll probably be able to see the screw holes on there. Okay, so it's going to go with the ribbon connector towards the hole because that is where the screen ribbon cable is going to go. Beautiful. Just like that. Okay. These 4 low profile bolts, I don't know if you can see those, hopefully one of the cameras is picking this up. They go low profile so that they fit as flush as possible to that side and don't foul the screen. The nuts for those, this bag with the little white standoffs and the plastic nuts and bolts in, these are M2.5 nuts and bolts. These are for connecting your Pi to the base plate, which we'll be doing at a later stage in this video. These are the nuts that you want to use, and they... Right, let's get these out and then we'll have a look. Ooh. So they go through, bolts through from the bottom, again to keep it as flat as possible. And if you were smart like me, I are very smart, you would have had all these out already. I'm going to use my handy dandy pliers for this. There is actually, you'll probably notice, no crosshead or flathead fitting on the bolt. Friction does its job though, it won't spin, and you don't need to pull it that tight anyway. Careful not to damage anything on the board while you do this. It's worth taking a bit of time over. I know that's not the best video points of view, and I'm sorry that this bit's a bit boring. But you do want a nice sexy Picade, don't you, with no scratches on it or anything. Bolt number 3. Flush, tighten it up. And bolt number 4. Cool. Pop that down over your other 2 bolts, keep it all nice and neat together. Now, are we fixing the ribbon cable yet? Not quite yet. To the base of the screen assembly with the cutout towards the middle of the screen. Cutout. Whole can of worms. It's technical. Basically, you'll see the tabs on the side. They go through these tabs in the MDF, match up. There's only one way it can go. It goes that way. Yes, you've probably guessed it. Yes, we printed the posters and then revised things. That's the world of making and shops, and good luck to you. Right, base 1, base 2 in place. Everything dandy. 4 M3 screws pushed into the front side with the clearer grip to hold the solid and secure with 4 M3 nuts. Don't over tighten. Let's do that. So we've already got our bolts in holding everything together. I will probably make them all fall out by lifting it slightly to get my fingers under to hold the damn things in place. It can be a bit fiddly. This probably won't be the fiddliest thing you'll do throughout this build, but oh my, it's going to be worth it. Am I allowed to swear? I'm probably not allowed to swear. Let's not swear. Okay. Let's see if we can. Oh, that works. And even the bolt stayed in. Great. Ha! Do that. Do that, that works. I'm probably just going to leave these finger tight in the spirit of do not over tighten. Don't damage your acrylic even on the back. And there we go, screen assembly. Looking good. We might as well also fit the ribbon cable. Is there anything specifically telling me not to do that at this stage? Let's check. Aha! The next step is, in fact, connect the ribbon cable. Gently pull out, yes. Do this gently. We don't get spares for these. They were the same as the camera connectors on the Pi. If you've used those, especially on the Pi Zero, you will know they pull out really, really easily. It's very easy to pull them out too far. If you pull them out too far, you will break the little retaining clips on the side. And if that happens, you are going to have fun messing about with little bits of cereal packet or hot glue or credit cards or just some kind of thin thing to shove in there to hold the ribbon cable in place, and then you're going to have to hold that in with some hot glue. It's all going to be a mess back there. Do this carefully. Slide it out. Doesn't come very far, doesn't need to. That's it. That's it open. It's as open as it needs to be to get the cable in. Do not pull it out further than that. I will read your ticket, I will roll my eyes, and you will have to buy a replacement. Squeeze it in finger tight, that's all it needs. It clips into place, and that's it. Done. Nothing broken. Excellent. Gently pull out. There we go. Push the cable and then push the clip securely on it. Lay the keypad and cable aside for later. Slot the whole screen assembly into the side of the casing where you've assembled. The driver board should be closest to the top of the cabinet. The rainbow stripes on the front should be at the bottom right corner. Bottom right. So it's going in that away. And once it's in, it'll look something like that. but it doesn't stand up on its own. I think what we might do, what you may end up doing, you can just rest this on top. Just enough to hold everything in place. We're not screwing it, bolting it, anything like that. Let's just not let the screen fall. Okay, section 3, the marquee. Whee! This bit. A long thin piece, not pointing out the extra G, that sits above the screen with the Picade logo on. Right. You've got more protective plastic on your acrylic, peel it off. You can see it. If you want it like that, fine. I'm not one to judge. I'm going to take the plastic off. Looking good already. Said I wasn't going to point out the extra G. Hard stairs. There we go, all the tabs matching. And this bit slots in there. What do you mean it's perfect? Shush you. Yes, you. And you. If you want it that white, leave the damn plastic on. Like I said, not one to judge. Could indeed use a little masking tape or a rubber band to hold it together, but I'm not going to do that because I hate myself. I don't really. I just like a challenge. So now we're on to attaching side panel D and front panel E. You may want to lay the cabinet on its side for this part, so should we try this from scratch? We'll leave the screen in, slot the bottom bit in, lay it down, get that bit of screen in. At least that way it's mostly held on. Right. Now we can try and lever it apart and get this in the right way around this time. This is great. You're in. Ha! And suddenly everything comes together. I'm going to put a little bit of weight on the top just to stop it rattling about. I'm assuming that I'm going to be putting some bolts in, but let's double check the instructions. Use 3M3 bolts and nuts to attach panel D to panels A, the base panel, which you can't see. Maybe you can. And panel C. Let's do the back first. That's screwed in quite nicely. I'm going to put the bolts through first and then this is going to happen a lot. Take a breath, don't hit things, at least not these things or living things, and don't hurt your hand if you're going to hit anything inanimate. Something with a bit more weight to it. Are you screwing in alright? Excellent. Right. This bit is going to start getting fiddly, but you can do this by feel. or psychic power if you have it. Good luck to you. Nope. I should stand. You see the glory of my sweaty t-shirt. Ah! Ha! Yep. My magic screwdriver on. I'll put the no, somewhere sensible. Excellent. One done. Two done. You should find that the nut bites into the plastic of the bracket, and you can tighten it up without actually having to hold it on the bottom, which is a relief. Where are we at now? Of course, that's on. Touch the panel C. So this is why I haven't tightened up the bracket on this side yet, because we're not in yet. Ha! Got it. I think. Going through it all, are you? And I'm losing the instructions. Yep, we're in. And you can shuffle that on its brackets. Over the marquee back. Business. So that is through the bracket. Let's get a nut on there. Excellent. I'll tighten these two up as well now that everything's in the right place. If you didn't leave those loose, loosen them before you try and fit this, because otherwise you're going to have a nightmare. Okay. What I'm now going to do, which I should probably have done before I start putting all this together, is move all these little nuts and bolts back into their bag and off my nice soft working bubble wrap cloth. I've got them all. Let's see what fell into my fingers. Nothing. One nut. Okay. Excellent. Right. Attach the front panel E to panel A using two M3 nuts and bolts. So, front panel E on the inside, and you've got your bracket already fitted there, which will sit back down. One, two, it's coming through fine. You don't feel the nut biting and it's wobbling, feels like it's at a bit of an angle. Don't be afraid to jiggle the screw back and forth a bit, the bolt, sorry, back and forth a bit. You should find that the nut will wiggle around and then the thread will catch and then you'll be fine. That's when you can start, for want of a better phrase, screwing in earnest. Read into that what you will. And front panel E, which leads us into the next section. See you there. Okay, section 4, building the console. You should probably be feeling quite proud of yourself. You are starting to get yourself something that looks very much like an arcade console. But we're going to put this to one side and make an awful lot of noise by touching the microphone and build the console bit. So we'll start with the 3 layers, making another sandwich just like we did with the marquee, not forgetting to remove the plastic acrylic coating, of which is on 2 sides right now. Come on, fingernails, don't let me down now. I think what we might do is just using a bolt, pop these little cardboard circles out again, so that we don't end up with any little bits between our sandwich layers. Not that we've had that problem before. Beautiful. One sandwich. There we go. Open the accessories box. Let's see what we've got. Speaker, a bag o' buttons and a black ball. I like alliteration. And a joystick. Attach the joystick first. Now, you should probably have also, yeah, there we go. In the bag with the ball is your dust ring for your joystick. Connection in towards the middle of the console. We're going in now, the sandwich is not quite right, there we go. Let's just put this on and get it finger tight, and then we can wiggle it about and fit the second side. If you screw it too tight, it does actually fit into the hole on the joystick, which you don't want. They're deliberately designed to be slightly off centre, as you'll see when you're fitting this. If the nut fits inside, you won't actually be able to get the screw or the bolt through the other hole, so one to watch out for. And there we are. Tighten, not too much, don't crack your acrylic. Dust cover first, textured side up, and then screw the ball onto your joystick. Doesn't need to stay there, it's up to you, I don't want to lose it. It's a bit stiff. You may need a flathead screwdriver just to tighten this up using the bit at the bottom. Notice the shaft is a bit stiff. Oh God. I'm done. Didn't smirk. No sniggers. Okay. Joystick is in. Only one innuendo. That is a new personal best. push the buttons through from the outside of the panels. The buttons on the front and sides of the cabinet should be black. The buttons on the console are blue, yellow and pink. So, we'll do them in that order. Blue, you can see the little notches in the holes and the little clips on the sides of your buttons. They are designed to fit together. So we'll do the blue ones first. Excuse me a moment. Well, we could go yellow, pink, blue if we're following the rainbow. Is that? I see. Hi, welcome back. I don't know if you've actually come back or not. I don't know how much of that will get lifted, the magic of editing. Should we put the blue with the blue? Let's put the blue with the blue. Let's not make designers cry. Just going to check the poster again, check my colours. Pink in the middle. Yellow on the other side, which is also the middle. Buttons! Eat my Hadouken. Right. So this, we're now going to put this to one side. We'll get back to our cabinet. And the illuminated power button is going to go into this little hole here on panel B. So unscrew the plastic collar, ring, bit, pop the button through from the outside, pop some bubble wrap with your elbow, and Bob's your uncle. Fanny might even be your aunt, who knows. There we go. Attached by screwing the plastic ring back on. Luckily no mention of shafts this time. We should probably put these buttons in. We might. You want left and right, start, select buttons. We're all professionals here. It's the easy bit. More buttons. Now, we aren't actually going to put this on top yet because there's quite a bit we need to do underneath, which is going to be in further sections. You can feel free to rest it on. If you bolt it on, you'll have to take it off again. We haven't even put the plastic clips on these bits anyway, at least if you're following my instructions or these instructions. But we've still got to get the Pi and all the wiring and the speakers and stuff in before we put the console on. So we're not doing that just yet. Right, welcome back everyone. We're carrying on. That's a little weird. Let's ignore it. Right, yesterday, oh, damn it, I've given it away. Oh well. We finished with this, most of a Picade cabinet. Now, we're going to put some bits in it and start making it working. We'll start with the speaker. So, it mounts on the other side of the speaker hole here with the speaker firing downwards. 2 and 3 screws. Let's see if I can flip this over without everything disappearing. I'm not entirely sure how well you're going to be able to see this. Alright. Okay. So, don't have the wires pointing towards that button or they will foul on the button. Live and learn. So let's point them up towards the Pi because they're going to connect to the Picade hat, and that way we stand a better chance of, I don't know, coiling them up, cable tying them if you like that kind of thing. If you're not that fussed, you can just leave them flapping about loose. It's not going to make a lot of difference to how well it works. It's on. realise you can't see much of this from anywhere, but I'm just putting a nut on a bolt. Exactly the same as I did with the last one. And then tighten it up. Doesn't need to be crazy tight, but tight enough so the speaker doesn't rattle will mean you get better sound and less annoying buzzing noises. Lovely. So, speaker in. Where are we next? Now, oh, we're going to mount the Pi. This can be tricky. We need more of the M2.5 bolts and the spacers, so you can shuffle those and make a new fresh pile. Maybe you could have another little plastic container handy. You'll probably be glad you did, like I'm going to regret not doing, but let's just go with it. Now, if we can get it so that the Pi is nice and flat on a surface that is hopefully flatter than this table, it'll mean you can have the bolts poking through and then pop the spacers and then the Pi straight on top. It's going to be fiddly. Probably best that you have some masking tape or something handy to take them in place. In fact, I might just go and get some. Ah, never mind. Blue tack, the wonder stuff. It's 4 of the little M2.5 plastic bolts. Some blobs of blue tack underneath. I didn't do this last time I built one. I wish I'd thought of it. And there we go, 4 bolts through. Should be nice and easy to pop the little white spacers onto. And then crack open your Pi. Now, the SD card slot goes over this little hole here. If we just pop this onto the bolts, there we go. And if you look, you've got perfect access to put your SD card in and get your nail in, take it out. A big improvement, I reckon. I love that little feature. Video magic happens. Okay, so you've done the 2 either side of the GPIO. That's great, they're on. Now, these are the 2, we're not using the plastic nuts. We've got the 2 little metal standoffs. Those are going to support the other side of the Picade hat, which is in here, and you will see shortly. So don't use the plastic nuts on those. It's these little metal standoffs, which are much easier to screw on than the little plastic nuts are, which is nice. So we've still got our blue tack on, holding them in place. Once the threads have caught, you can put it back on its side again, blue tack off, hold the stand off, and tighten it. Again, don't tighten it too much, you don't want to chew the threads on the screw. And there it is. All done with your SD card slot nicely. And the standoffs on the Pi, everything held in nice and securely. Grand. Okay, at this point, as per the instructions, it is well worth plugging your HDMI cable into the Pi, because once all the wires are in, it's going to be much, much harder to get at that, especially when the hat is sitting over the top, and the hat has an awful lot of pins for connecting the headers on the joystick and button cables. With all that in the way, it's going to be a nightmare to get the HDMI in, so plug that in now. You can leave the other end dangling, we'll do the screen end a bit later. But there we go, HDMI cable in place. Right. Picade hat. Oh, if I can. There we go. Find the gap. Into the bin. Move these little screws to a little separate pile, slightly out of the way. And there it is, the Picade hat. So this just goes down onto the GPIO. Make sure it's lined up straight. It's easy to get it offside and miss a couple of the pins, which will mean it doesn't work. Try not to do that. Gently push it down. And then that's what we're using these two screws for. Bolts, screws, whatever. Into the standoffs. Back to the Phillips head. And done. Picade hat attached. Lovely. Right. Okay, wiring the joystick. All your different wiring cables here. You've got your power. There's the joystick connector with the white plug on the end. And these are for the utility and console buttons. Not sure if they're interchangeable. I think if they've got the same number of connectors on them, they pretty much are, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Anyway, joystick connector, joystick. Now, it's a bit odd looking, but this plug basically goes on here, so it needs to be firmly pushed on, especially in this case. If you can. Oh, there goes a button, never mind, we'll pop that back on in a minute. Wiggle it a bit until the little safety clip there is actually definitely on past the little edge that it clips onto on the socket on the joystick, and try not to lose the other end from the cables. This is then going to go under the screen. Make sure it goes in that way, otherwise you'll put your console on and wonder why there's a wire sticking out. Now, looking at it from this side, starting from here, you've got up on this side and ground is on this side for the purposes of wiring. So ground is the side that's closest to the centre of the console. Let's just pop the buttons back in. In my case, this may well be different for your wires, so check, but all the wires should hopefully have different markings on. This means that for me, my ground wire has lots of little grey, if I can see it on this end, little grey dashes. That's my ground cable on that end. And the joystick connector is this one right here in the middle, with ground on the side facing away from the USB ports. So, that wire with the little dashes on, check what the markings are on your wires, make sure you know, but ground goes on the side facing away from the USB port, so that then plugs in, like that, joystick connected, boom. Okay, wiring the player buttons. One of the sets of 12 wires and separate the strands a little with 6 pairs at the ends with the spades. These little silvery connectors here, they're your spade connectors. They are what's going to go on the buttons. Again, you're going to need to take note of the markings on the wires. Pass that up underneath. That will help. Working from one side, connect each pair of spades from buttons 1 to 6. Your buttons are numbered. Now I'm going to start at this side, so to peel them off a bit. You can't see this very well. That is button 1. and the spades just slip over the connectors on the buttons. Hold it from underneath because otherwise you will pop the buttons out. You might need a fairly firm push to get these on, but it's worth getting them on properly. He says failing to get them on properly. There we go. So that's button 1. Button 2 is going to be the next pair. Make sure you get the pairs of wires next to each other. Peel it down a bit. Button 2. Next pair. Button 3. If you really want, you can make sure all the contacts on the buttons are facing the same way, whichever. Really doesn't matter which way around these wires go or which way around your button is facing. It's a contact switch, it's completing a circuit, it'll work. Button 4, which might need to be slightly longer. Ooh. Button 5. Pop. Pop. And button 6. There is actually a noticeable click, for want of a better word, when you push these on all the way, so make sure you feel that and make sure the bottoms of the spades are almost touching the switch on the bottom of the button. There we go, that's the button wires in. So we're looking for the buttons on here now. These are the console buttons. Right, there's the utility buttons on the side furthest away from the USB ports. So these are the console buttons. Now I started button 1 with these 2 wires here with the long lines on, so I just start plugging them in from that side. So we've got button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons. That couldn't have sounded less like the count. I'm sorry about that one. Anyway, buttons connected. Slight embarrassment, it'll fade. You can laugh at me, I don't mind. Okay, the other set of 12 wires. This is the fun bit. Such satisfaction. Okay, separate into 5 spares at the ends with the spades, silver ones are the spades. Honestly, it's better than when Kit Kats had foil wrappers and you could run your thumb down. Taking each pair in turn, connect them to the Ent-esque. Right, so enter is on the side with the power button, so we will start with that. Let's start with the Morse code looking wires there. So we got dots and dashes, which doesn't in any way match up with the other side, so that works, different contrast. So Ent. This is kind of fiddly. Let's see if we can get it that way. Here we go. First one now. The second strip is going to have to be peeled off a fair way. I can just dig them out. It's these 2, isn't it? Lovely. These go over onto the second button just down here. I have no idea what you can see on this camera. Oh, very little from the front. Okay. Maybe you can see it there like that. It's easy to put them in from the screen side though. And there we go. Let's enter and escape. Those do actually map to the enter and escape keys. So when you push those 2 buttons, that keyboard signal is sent to the Pi. It's useful. Where are we at now? 1 up and coin, which would be These two on the front. One up is the one on the right when you're facing the console, so this side. And it will be the next set of spades, which is this one. On the button. One up, next set. There we go. What am I missing? There's this last coin and the power button respectively. Now, which contacts do I use on the power button? Because two are for the button and two are for the power for the LED. Now, I believe the ones in the middle of the button are the button ones and the ones on the outside are for the LED, but let's check the instructions and check. On the power button, you should connect the spade connectors to the pair of spades closest to the edge of the button. So there we go, I was exactly wrong. The button ones are the ones on the outside. The two in the middle are the power connector for the LED. Ouch. I might use my pliers for this. Don't squeeze it too hard. You might be able to just get the pliers around the collar, push it on that way, and then you're not squeezing the wires too hard. There we go. Take the pairs of pins at the other end and connect them to the pairs of terminals marked N, S, 1 up coin and on respectively on the Picade X hat. So this is on. Let's put this around this side. So this is my on button. I might as well start from that side. Now, the furthest right connectors on there are actually marked for the LED, which is this separate wire right here. So I'll do it from that way. But yes, leave the rightmost connectors blank. I would imagine we'll be doing those shortly. As long as you connect these in order, going from edge to edge, escape and enter. And there we go. It's much easier than the screw terminals on the previous Picade hat. It's lovely. Right, there we go. Buttons are wired up. What's next? Wiring the power button and speaker. The remaining pair of wires, the red and black ones, are for the LED on the power buttons, so spade connectors onto the central connectors on the button. Again, I do not believe spade connector on the red right to the spade on the button marked positive. I might need to get my phone out for this. Apologies for what this does to the picture. Never mind. Okay, now the way mine has ended up, the positive is on the top, the negative is on the bottom. If you've got a chance and you're watching this through before actually building it, it might be worth getting a silver marker or a bit of tape or something and sticking it on the side of the button to mark either the positive or negative side, whichever you prefer. But the red wire is your positive. That can go on there. Bent the contact. This is not great. I think what we might have to do here, if I can find my screwdriver, there we go. Let's get a somewhat smaller flathead, and you could use a penknife or something for this. Really fine connector, and I'm just going to wiggle this apart slightly just so it slips over the button a bit easier. It's going to be awkward, but I can get a pair of pliers in and squeeze it, crimp it rather shut at the end of it, but that should mean, yep, there we go. Oh should have got my long nose pliers for this, but this might work. And just a quick squidge. Nope, that hasn't worked at all. Okay, then we will disconnect button connector and go on sideways. And then just enough. Oh, a bit more. This is kind of scary. Squidge it. Much better. Spade connector back on. Hopefully we'll not have that same rigmarole with the second one, but let's see what happens. Oh, of course it's exactly the same. I will not open this quite so far. Well, there we go. That one's much better. Because I was sensible and pried them apart too far, it still clicked into place. We're hackers, don't be afraid to modify things, but be damn careful when you do it. Okay. And then power. Positive is the side facing the screen, so red wire towards the screen, black wire towards the reverse of the Picade, the back of the Picade. And in fact, I might even just took that round there to make an effort at keeping the wiring neat. And there we go, it's the power button connected up with LED power and everything. Okay, so connecting the speaker wires, that's these two, the other black and white, black and red cable that just ends in tinned wires. So you've got your speaker connectors here. Pushing down on these little beige clips actually opens up the spades inside or whatever it is to connect it. So just do one wire at a time, push gently, slide the wire in and then release and nothing happens. And that's it. You should feel it slide in. No shafts, just tin wires. So get the wire in the hole, start pushing, a little bit of pressure on the beige tab. There we go, the wire slid in, let off the tab, and it's clamped. Your speaker is connected. Positive towards the back of the Picade, negative towards the screen. And there we go, speaker connected. Okay, attaching the console. So let's get the other end of our HDMI cable, bring it out of the way. Make sure that your console is facing the right way, so joystick, well, more the beautiful coloured lines on the display match up to those on the screen. Right, that is how it will sit, but we've not put the brackets on yet. Two more brackets, some more M3 nuts and bolts that are happily now mixing with all the others. Let's try and keep those separate. Let's just, which end do we fit the brackets onto? The underside of the console. And it's the center one, so this one with the 3 holes is going to go onto the base of the console. So to go through particularly easily, there we go. Screw this into the bracket again. Oh. Three nuts. Hold that in place with a finger. Oh, no. There we go. Make sure it's aligned, not too tight because you're bolting onto acrylic, remember. One side. Did I just... Oh, I popped a button, that's fine. Other side. I'm not going to attempt to do a left-handed screwdriver job because I am not left-handed. Holding the bracket, has that done it? Yeah, that's done it. Beautiful. This is a tricky one with the joystick in place, but it is definitely doable. There we go. It's bitten. Just some little tricks you can do to get this in. We've got the brackets on the side of the console, and there's these holes here for the bolts that are going to go through. Remember to not pop the buttons out and line the stripes up with the stripes on the screen. So joystick this side, buttons this side. Try and make sure all your wires inside are out of the way, and then it should just slide down, and the slots in the MDF here will sit on top of these crenellations. Sure, why not? These crenellations on the rest of the console. And an M3 bolt through. Make sure it's gone through the bracket. Now, it's difficult to get your finger in with a nut and hold it there. So a couple of things you could try. Have the console on its side, the whole Picade rather, so that you can balance it on a finger and slide it in. Or, as I'm going to try, we'll see if it works. Pop the button out, move it to one side, and then you don't actually have that far to stretch your finger underneath. It might be fun getting it through with it, but if you put the nut down on the table, good bit of pressure to attach it to your finger. Indeed. No, that's not going to behave for me. No, it's going to stick to my thumb instead. Okay, we'll try going in this way. Right, that is on the end of the bolt, and then don't forget you can wiggle it about, try turning anti-clockwise and clockwise just until you feel the thread on the nut catch. Can be a little bit awkward if it's at an angle. No, it slipped off there. It's gone to one side. Let's try that then. Nope. And there we go. Whoa. Better than losing the nut off the end of the bolt. At least the screwdriver can be easily picked up. But you can see it's going in. I can feel on the underside that it's bitten into the nut. And side one is done. Pop your button back in. Lovely. Now, we just need to wrestle this one in. Let's see if it works all right the same way. Whoop. Right in. It's inside the bracket, just poking through, so the joystick wires can make this a little bit tricky, but I need it right on the end of my finger there. And I think there, that's it. Now we just need to get the threads to bite, and let's see if that's done it. No, it's an angle. There we go. And we're in. I can just pinch the nut slightly, and then it'll bite into the plastic bracket and you can get it fully tight, and there we go. Console connected. It really is much easier to do it with it on its side like that. I really wouldn't try and do it with it that way up, because the nut will keep falling off. You'll lose it inside the Picade, frustration will happen, swears will happen, and you'll have to send your children away and have a cup of tea and calm down. Anyway, attaching the console, job is a good one, and there we go, all tightened. Final step, put the feet on. There's a little picture just above attaching the console that shows you, I mean, put them where you like, but try and make it neat. One, nope. Two, three. Where do we like the other one? Right in that corner. No, I'm not. You may want to put it differently. I think I'm going to put it inside the hole here. Have it where you like, but as long as it's close enough to that corner, you should be able to get it. No wobbling. Job's a good one. Excellent. Connecting the display and the power. HDMI cable from the Pi to the display driver board. Well, here it is. As you can see, it would be a bit of a pain to try and plug it in down there, which is why we did it earlier. And then into the display board. Woo. Right. HDMI in, and then we've got the micro USB cable, which is here. This is your screen power. Comes from the Pi. Personally, I like to get one of those multi-port USB things. There's less room in this Picade for one, but you can mount it on the back of the door or similar, which might make it tricky to come off. But if you're having problems and you're not getting enough power, you can always do that. The Pi 3 is a lot better for power though than the previous models, so you should find that you are all fine. I'm going to coil this a bit just so that it stays inside a bit neatly. And then with the little tabs on the top, it's that way round, in it goes. Your screen is powered and connected. Okay. So we've got these two holes here. Those are going to connect your button panel. Much like that. I think it's two of these M2.5s through. No. I think, I'm not sure if it's mentioned, but I am actually going to connect this flat ribbon cable. And when you look at these, the contacts on the cable always face away from the plastic clamp, so with the blue bit pointing upwards, yeah, there we go. Just slide that up and in there as far as it will go, and then gently squeeze that closed, and we can then pop that onto the bolt. Now you don't need to fiddle about. It is doable, there's enough space to get in there, but I'm kind of glad I connected that first. And then bolts on. Nope. Back to the flathead. Quick pinch to hold the nut, and then tighten it up. These don't need to be super tight by any means, and don't tighten them both up, or if you're going to do them both loose first, because otherwise you might squeeze one too tight and end up with a slightly lopsided or bent button board, which is not anyone's friend. Fortunately, it fits flush. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to pass this under those two. Now again, just gently pinch that out with a nail. Blue plastic to the top. A little fiddly, but there we go. Put it in and squeeze the clamp, and there you go. There's your button board connected. Now it does mention connecting the power cable at this point. You can do that without the back connected if you want, if you think you're going to need to fiddle around. I might connect the back panel first. It's easy enough to go in. Those two bits go into the slots. Simply lift that up a little bit and there we go. It's held in place. As you can see, a useful little hole for your power connector. Nice brand new official Raspberry Pi power supply. And that slots into there. Plug it in, your Picade will power up. You'll have to have your SD card flashed with Raspbian, not Raspbian, what am I saying, RetroPie. And then that goes into there. We will tackle that shortly. But, finished Picade, just one little touch. These little chunky elastic rubber bands that are too small to be bracelets and slightly too big to be rings. Slots over there, hold your back panel in place. Your physical Picade construction is now done. Congratulations and well done. Let's get the software working. Okay, off camera you haven't seen us, but we have downloaded RetroPie. We've flashed it to this SD card using Etcher. You can get RetroPie at retropie.org/download. You can get Etcher from etcher.io. Right, SD card into the slot through the handy hole in the bottom. Plenty of room to get your finger and thumb in to get it in and out. It's really handy. That's that in. We can put the back door on. But first, we need to have a keyboard hooked up to this because we're going to do some nerdy bits and stuff. You can pop that through that little hole right there. Lets us get the cable out of the way, but let's just plug the keyboard in first. You can, of course, leave the door off to do all this if you want to. We just want to show off the sexy little hole in the back. On it goes, pop it up, little lucky band on, boom. Right, now powering the thing on, if we poke that cable out of the way, push it in the little slot, then there's still plenty of room to get the power cable in. It's not turning on. That's right, the new Picade has a power button. We just give it a second, we'll see it booting up. There we go. First things first. So configuration, space, A. Select now. A actually works. So Then arrow keys to navigate the menu, go down to Wi-Fi. Lovely. Connect to Wi-Fi network now. Space to select stuff here, or maybe enter. Enter works. Yeah. And there we go. You should have a list of Wi-Fi networks. We will connect to the good ship Pimoroni. Forgive me. Is this working? Yes. Okay. Wi-Fi connected. We've got an IP. We've got an SSID. Beautiful. So exit. And that will take us back to emulation station. So we're on Wi-Fi. Now we need to install the drivers for the Picade hat. So F4 will take you out of emulation station back to the command line. We've got a handy one-line installer for this. So https://CURL https://get.pimoroni.com/Picade hat and enter, and while this is running we will get a cup of tea. No, I am forgetting something, because if you do that you'll just get a lot of blurby text coming on your screen. It'll look like it's doing stuff it isn't. Pipe, which is your little vertical line, and then bash. Let's set that going. While it does, make a cup of tea. Job's a good one. Boom. Oh, we've got still everything we need to use around to do. That's fine. Do we wish to continue? Yes, we do. And done. All right, we're back. The main Picade hat stuff has downloaded and finished. Awesome. So let's get back into emulation station and configure our controls. So just emulation station. Don't forget back tab completion. This is Linux, it does that, it's handy. Anyway, reload emulation station. Right, by default, your command to open this menu is going to be Alt. We've done some messing around, so we've changed it to H, but if you push Alt, you will get this main menu up. So, configure input. Oh no, enter isn't working for me, but A will by default. Right, now hold the button, there we go. Okay, up. Right, okay. So, only up is working. This means we've done something wrong. We happen to know, after strenuous and painful experimentation, that it is in fact that we've got the joystick plugged the wrong way around. Now, thank you to the magic of time travel, a message will appear previously in this video letting you know that it's the wrong way around in the video. But now, if you followed along with us and didn't see that somehow, we're going to show you how to fix it. So basically, we'll power off, nice safe power off with the button, and we need to change our joystick input switch thing the other way. I'm going to be careful with this door because the cable's going through it, but basically joystick one, the one in the middle, so let's flip that, plug it back in, and then we can power back on and hopefully everything will be Jim dandy. Let's find out. It's loading, it's a good sign. Okay, that looks a lot healthier. So, Alt for you guys, because you won't have changed anything yet. Configure input. No. Of course I'm being silly. That one, yes I am. Right. Yes. Up, down, left, right. Start, select, A, B, X, Y, L, R, and then you can just hold the button down for each one of these, and it will skip it. You could, if you really wanted to, plug an Xbox pad or something into this. Anything USB should work. If you're just using it without a pad, you're fine to skip these controls. Most of them anyway. We'll get to this last one. Right, hotkey enable. This will let you quit out of the games once you're in them. It's worth configuring something. We are going to use this one, which I believe is escape. It'll tell you on the inside of the panel. I apologise if I've got it wrong, but that's enter. So escape is on this side, but we have our hotkey. So let's get a game. There is a demo of Tanglewood, which is a brand new game for the Mega Drive. I believe it has just been released, so you can actually go and buy it. It's an excellent arcade platformer, but we're going to get it. You can try it yourself. If you love it, go out looking for it online and get it. I believe you can play it on this once you've bought it. Anyway, let's worry about getting the demo for now. So, F4 to get back to the console, and it's in our GitHub for the Picade hat, so we need to clone that repository, beg pardon. So, git clone https://github.com/Pimoroni/Picade-hat, not hatar. And it'll clone it, you'll get a new directory. Let's have a quick look, and there it is, Picade hats. So, enter the Picade hat directory, let's have a look. ROMs. No, we want to go into the ROMs directory, silly me. Let's have a look. There we go. Right. So, it's a Mega Drive, and let's have a look. There we go. Right. Copy Tanglewood bin, home, RetroPie, ROMs, Mega Drive. And there it is. It has been, the Tanglewood bin file has been copied into the Mega Drive folder, so now we can restart Emulation Station. What we should see is the Mega Drive logo has appeared on the main RetroPie menu. And there it is. Tanglewood. And here we go. And there we go. Tanglewoodgame.com is the URL. They're on Kickstarter. Like I say, I believe the Kickstarter's just finished. So if you like this, support them. All right. Hopefully your Picade build has gone very smoothly. If it hasn't, if you've got any problems, if you have got any questions, there's plenty of ways you can get in touch with us. If it's something a bit quick and easy, or you just want to raise our attention to something, we are on Twitter at Pimoroni. If it's a slightly more in-depth question, there are our forums at forums.pimoroni.com. There is also our support email address, mostly which will be answered by me. So drop us an email at support@pimoroni.com and we will do exactly what we can to help. There is an awful lot of extra config stuff, tweaks that you can do with it on the RetroPie website. So if you're into that kind of thing, I urge you to go there and have a look through all the documentation. There is a lot of it. For example, you can store all your ROMs and stuff that you've got on there on a separate USB drive if you want to. Go there, have a look. The possibilities are crazy. There's a lot of different menu configs, all sorts of stuff that you can do. But most importantly, have fun with this bad boy. I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. And thank you very much for watching.